So, before learning about the maternal health components of the RCH program, let us look at the three phases of motherhood or maternity. Many of you may be very familiar, those of you especially who are doctors are going to be very familiar with this next half of the presentation. But those of you who are not, understanding these three phases of motherhood as well as the important programmatic elements that are needed in these three phases is very crucial to understanding the RCH program. So these are the three phases: the antenatal care, the intranatal care, which means care during the delivery, and the postnatal care, which means the care after childbirth. Let's look at antenatal care to begin with. So, antenatal care is basically the services provided to the mother during her pregnancy. So, the period of pregnancy, which usually lasts about 9 months, is called the antenatal period. So, why is antenatal care necessary? So, this was an early lesson for in public health that the nutritional status and the general health status of the mother during the antenatal period is very crucial for her own health and well-being during her delivery and the postnatal period, as well as the newborn and the child's health over the next few years. So, antenatal care is very important to have a healthy mother and a healthy baby. And it is also the period where the so called high risk cases are detected, and correspondingly, the special care that is needed for these high risk cases so that they do not develop into complications and result in maternal or child deaths are foreseen and they can be prevented. So, thus, provision of good quality antenatal care is crucial to decreasing maternal and infant mortality. For example, in if you remember the pie chart that we saw on the common causes of maternal mortality in India, causes such as anemia, low birth weight in the children, and anemia in the mothers, which are contributing to maternal and child deaths, can be avoided or reduced through good quality antenatal care. Let's look at what actually happens during the antenatal care visits. So the antenatal care visits are happen at the primary health center, and if not, they happen at the doorstep of the household. So at least 3 to 4 antenatal care visits are recommended in spread over the pregnancy period. And like I said earlier, the place where the antenatal care visit has to happen could be the subcenter, it could be the primary health center, could be hospitals, could be the private sector. And in cases where mothers have not made it to any of these health centers, it could so happen that the ANM or the ASHA or a health worker visits her household and ensures that antenatal care is provided. In India, usually the choice of where this antenatal care visit happens is usually depending on the family. So, during an ideal ANC visit, a physical examination of the pregnant mother is done, her blood pressure and weight gain is monitored. During the visits, at least 2 tetanus toxoid injections are given with a gap of 6 weeks. And the main purpose of the TT injection is to ensure that there is no contraction of tetanus during childbirth. The physical examination of the mother involves looking at the growth of the child through 2 or 3 types of grips that the ANM conducts on the mother. So the physical examination involves examination of the growth of the child by the ANM, and wherever the ANM detects intrauterine growth retardation or any problem in the growth of the child, then the mother is referred to a higher center as a high risk case. Another component, of course, is the provision of iron and folic acid tablets. So, depending on the hemoglobin status of the mother, 100 or 200 tablets are given either for prophylaxis or treatment of anemia. In addition, a variety of tests are conducted. One is, of course, hemoglobin. The second is to test the urine for sugar and albumin. HIV/AIDS test is the mother is usually referred to an ICTC, an integrated counseling and testing center located at a large primary health center or a taluka hospital, and a blood sugar test if available. The purpose of conducting an ICTC test to determine HIV status is to ensure that the child, if in the case of an HIV infected mother, is to ensure that delivery happens in a larger hospital where care can be taken such that maternal to child transmission of the virus does not happen. The second component is, of course, intranatal care, which is care during the time of delivery. And where does delivery occur? Usually, it could occur anywhere. Usually, the choice of the mother. It could happen at primary health center, at the taluka hospitals, or any other hospital run by the government or the private sector. Now, the labor room in which the delivery occurs should be clean, and the personnel conducting the delivery should follow all the safe and hygienic practices. All the basic equipments necessary to conduct deliveries with minimum injury to the infant and mother should be available, and these equipments, especially the ones that are used during the delivery, should be sterile. And the hospital should be able to manage emergencies, for example, obstructed labor or postpartum hemorrhage in cases they occur. So there should be suitable transport facilities available to transport the woman to a higher facility. Now, various efforts have been made over time in providing delivery kits, delivery equipments, upgradation of labor rooms in primary health centers under the various programs. Finally, the last phase of motherhood is, of course, the postnatal care or the postnatal phase. Postnatal care is given to the mother and newborn after delivery, and the period from delivery up to 6 weeks is referred to as the postnatal period. So the staff involved in providing postnatal care are the ANMs, which are the auxiliary nurse midwives, and the ASHAs. So postnatal visits are postnatal care firstly at the PHC is extremely important to ensure that some of the important complications of childbirth which could occur in the postnatal phase are avoided. These include hemorrhage or retention of placenta or infections, etc. In addition, the ANM undertakes PNC visits to ensure that the mother is in a healthy state and is able to provide all the care necessary for the child. So the mothers are educated about cleanliness and the importance of breastfeeding, which ideally has to start as early as possible. And of course, the mother is given all the information about timely vaccines under the Universal Immunization Program. So with that understanding, let's look at what is the service package for mothers under RCH1. So in this slide, you are looking at the basic maternal services with the so-called essential obstetric care, which is provided under the RCH program. Ideally, registration of the pregnancy has to happen early, ideally between 12 to 16 weeks. At least 3 visits for antenatal care has to happen either by the ANM or the medical officer. Provision of safe delivery, ideally at an institution, and if not, at least accompanied by a skilled birth attendant at homes has to happen. 3 postnatal care visits are included, as well as, of course, referral in case of high risk or in case of complications during childbirth or postnatal period. The emergency obstetric care component to tackle obstetric emergencies is the component that ideally takes place at the taluka hospital level. So the first component is, of course, strengthening of the first referral units with provision of skilled manpower, with trained nurses, trained obstetricians and anesthetists, and if not, medical officers trained in providing anesthesia and conducting LSCS cesarean sections if needed, supply of kits, involvement of NGOs to cater to local needs, as well as the small remaining component of TBA training wherever modern health services have not reached, and identification of primary health centers which are well equipped enough to conduct institutional deliveries. The second component of RCH is, of course, the children, and here the main component is it starts with, of course, childbirth, where the focus is on keeping the baby warm, checking the baby's weight to ensure that there is no low birth weight, and early initiation of breastfeeding, including the first milk, the colostrum, which is extremely important for building up the immunity of the child. There is also a need to organize special care for premature babies or those with low birth weight. So the provision of equipment to monitor the progress of premature babies needs to be organized. And of course, proper facilities to organize referral in case of any impending complications. The current norm for breastfeeding is to ensure exclusive breastfeeding at least for the first 3 months and to start weaning thereafter. To continue, after the immediate postnatal period, the focus is on immunization of the child, vitamin A prophylaxis, and like we mentioned earlier, the integration resulted in the provision of oral rehydration treatment and the diarrheal diseases program under the RCH itself, as well as the provision of antibiotics for acute respiratory infections and the treatment of anemia. Moving on, the RCH components for eligible couples includes the promotion of the type of family planning methods that the couples choose. So the couples should be able to choose from among the various contraceptive methods, including condoms, oral pills, intrauterine devices, as well as male and female sterilization. In addition to this, the safe and competent provision of abortion services in as many facilities as possible is another focus. And of course, the treatment of sexually transmitted diseases and reproductive tract infections. Remember, the main focus of RCH is to move away from a camp approach to a reproductive rights approach where couples choose the time and type of family planning services. So finally, by the year 2000, when the National Population Policy was announced, one could see the effect of the RCH program and the advocacy of the reproductive rights approach in the population policy as well. So some of the components that the population policy included from the RCH program are the outreach schemes, the border district cluster schemes, which was a strategy to ensure that the areas bordering different states or areas which are very far away from the headquarters receive some special attention. And of course, the introduction of hepatitis B vaccination into the RCH program. The last component is the training of DICE, which remained a lesser focus than under the previous CSSM program. So in summary, we looked at how the RCH program built upon the components of the CSSM program, and we also looked at the various components of the RCH program. See you back in the future units where we trace further as to what happened thereafter.